Alright, here goes nothing. I'm just gonna get into my life story. I'm gonna break this down into parts so it's not just one long ass video. And thank you for coming to my channel if it's your first time, and thank you for coming back if you're returning. So, I'm gonna just get right into it. I was born on April 7th, 1993. I was born at Torrance Memorial Medical Center or hospital, whatever. So, I was born. I have an older brother who is 3.5 years older than me. Uh, so, when he was a senior, I was a freshman. When I graduated when I started middle school, he was finishing middle school. So, it's like right there, like right in the middle. So, we grew up in Carson. So, we grew up in Carson, but it was in this weird area called the Harbor Gateway, which is like, it's LA, but it's a place where growing up I always had a PO box. So imagine that, being a little kid and having to remember your address, like how they make you, and it's for a different city. And then not only that, but you have to remember PO box. Like, I still remember my address, my PO box and all that because it got drilled into my head. But I always was confused of like, why am I putting this down? Like, why is this a part of my address? But it's just because of where I lived in. I lived in this little sliver called the Harbor Gateway that was not Torrance, not like, it was just like this one random little area. So I grew up there, and growing up there, like, there were schools around there, but for the most part, like, I played a lot of sports as a kid. And you could put that on a couple of different things, but I mean, the main reason is that, like, I didn't have any friends, like, where I lived at. Because, like, where I went to school, which I'll get into, and where I lived at, it was like a 30-minute drive. So it's not like I could just have people like, hey, after school, you guys want to come over? Like, I lived like miles and miles and miles away. So I was part of like baseball teams, soccer teams, football teams, like, you name it. Like, I would have to go from soccer to baseball to basketball, like, all in the same day. And I would be like the pitcher in baseball, or I'd be like the quarterback and wide receiver. Like, I was not just some kid like on the sidelines. So I grew up doing that, and it it definitely put me into different situations with like different kids, like playing sports and going over to a Redondo kid's house for the first time. That was crazy because of just how big their house was, and all their video games and all of that stuff. And I just wasn't really used to that. Like, the only friend that I had when I was going to elementary school was my friend Russell, who was like my best friend. And he's the guy that, like, we went to Mexico with his dad and we got into a lot of stuff. But like, either if I was not playing sports and I wasn't at home, I was at his house. And he had the kind of house where I'd go over there and I'd stay there for like 2 nights or 3 nights. I'd spend the whole weekend there or something like that. Like, that was like my only friend from that area, which, it was fine. I mean, I've always been the quality over quantity type person, like, with a lot of different stuff anyway. So I'd rather have one actual friend than 100 acquaintances. So, we'd go over there, and like, we had the Mexico trip. Sometimes we go to like San Diego. His dad was like, he at one point was doing some surf stuff that turned into some other stuff, which I'll get into that on a different video. But that was I mean, life was simple, man. Like, I would go to school, and you know, it wasn't in the best area, but I still made the best of it. Like, I had friends. I didn't get picked on. I was fortunate to be very athletically gifted, and that would cause people to like want me to be on their team. And that's always nice. Like, I mean, it sucks getting picked last or something like that. That only happened to me one time, and I never got picked last ever again. And that's just because the people didn't know the like level of skill that I was at, which I don't blame them. I didn't look like anything special. So, you know, it was cool growing up in that environment because like I was the furthest thing from a racist that you could possibly imagine. Like literally I ended up being the I ran for the class president when I was in 5th grade, and I actually won. So like, and the ratio, like I'm not trying to bring race into it or whatever, but like me and maybe a handful of other kids were like the white kids. And I mean through all, I went to one that was just 1st through 5th grade, and there wasn't many of us. Like it was a majority Hispanic, African American, but I got along with everybody, and I ended up getting picked for class president, which it was definitely a popularity contest, which makes me very suspect of like elections since then. But I'd be like, yeah, we're gonna get no homework and we're gonna have soda machines, and just telling people what they wanted to hear. But fact of the matter is I did end up like, you know, um, winning that. So that was definitely interesting. And as far as elementary school went, I was pretty like set up. Like I can remember like passing my classes, and like I wasn't that bad. I mean, I had my problems with like stealing and stuff. Yeah. I I took somebody's lunch money. Yes, me being like in like I don't even remember what grade I was in. I was in like 1st or 2nd grade. Like I know it sounds ridiculous, but I actually got in trouble for it and everything. I stole a Pokemon pencil another time that I got in trouble for. It was the one, the Bulbasaur. I don't know. It was like a earth thing or a plant, or I don't remember, something like that. But either way, my grades were good. I was good at writing. Like I almost won something where I got to go up in like a blimp, and like the best person got to go up in a blimp or something. And my friend Devin won, and shout out to him. Um, we went to the original House of Blues, and I sang a song on the stage that it's no longer there anymore. I think they turned it into like a hotel, and I didn't know that at the time, but it's still kind of like a cool memory to have. But but yeah, I mean, for the most part, elementary school was cool. I didn't have any problems with anybody. Uh, I played a lot of sports, spent a lot of time in the after school program, which is why I think I have such a, I lean towards like wanting to be one of those type of people. Like when I did work in the after school program, I'm constantly getting emails from places saying that they would like for me to come work for their schools and stuff. So it's definitely something that I'm interested in, that I know I'm good at. So not that that's on the back burner, but I've just been dealing with this injury, and I haven't been trying to bore you guys with that. So that's why I haven't really spoken on it that much. But things are getting better slowly but surely, and hopefully I can slide up into that position. So, anyways, I just kind of wanted to start this off. I guess this will just be part one, and this is just a little bit of context into who I am and how I have became the person that I have became. So whether that's somebody you like, somebody you knew, used to know, hate, whatever, like it is what it is, and I just feel like kind of telling it like it is. So hopefully I didn't gloss over too much of anything that much, and if so, then I'll try to reintroduce it as best I can in the next one. But I'm planning on just going straight through. So this was part one. I don't know how many parts there'll be, but Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a good night.